Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Legendary Leaders. I am your host, Katrina Jameson. I'm the founder of Legend Leaders, where we arm female business leaders with the strategies they need to live a legendary life, a life on their terms. It's the last Wednesday of the month. This entire month, we have been focused on the topic, the belief, the knowledge, the fact that this is your year, because it is. As you know, because you've been spending time with me all month, thank you for that. I'm excited to always have you with me. We kicked off with the conversation and the concept that we all have a story that we tell ourselves. And that story that we tell ourselves is what propels us forward and what really causes us to take the actions that we take on a daily basis. If we're going to make sure that this is our year, we must look at our story and confirm that the story we're telling ourselves is actually the story that's going to empower us, that's going to help us move forward and truly ensure that this is our year. So we looked at our old story. We asked ourselves what happened in our past to cause us to create this story. And not only the positive things that helped us in our story, the positive parts of our story rather, but also the parts of our story that were holding us back. The parts of our story that were not benefiting us. So you did that exercise. And then last week, you sat down and you asked yourself, well, what do I want my story to be? What is my new story? And my challenge to you was to really think about your purpose. What is your purpose here? Why do you exist? What are your gifts? And what are you meant to do? And let that be your new story. And so last week, you wrote out what your new story is. This week, we are focused on building the muscle, right? And making sure that the new story sticks. Now, if you recall last week, and then even the week prior, one of the biggest things that I challenged you to do was to sit down and when you wrote out what happened to you in your past that caused you to believe specific parts of your story, right? The good and the not so good. What happened? What were those life events that caused you to believe each one of those things? To then, for the ones that were an opportunity, the parts of your story that were disempowering, that you sit down and you look at those events and that you reclassify those events. You rewrite your past, okay? And you apply a new meaning to that story, because if you do that, then you can't go back to that story. Then that part of your story is no longer in existence because it's not true. And you have no choice but to write a new story, and then therefore it's even easier to live your new truth, to really step in to your new story. So if you haven't done that, I'm telling you, it's one of the most critical pieces in ensuring that this is your year. Now, today is all about building some routines, taking some action, and driving some change in your life so that you walk every day in your new story. Now, no doubt you're probably thinking, okay, Katrina, you're probably going to tell me I need to read my new story. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and get that one out of the way right now. Write down your story. I'm sure that you did, because that's what I asked you to do last week. You probably sat down and just brain dumped. I'm proud of you if you did. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. If you didn't, go brain dump a little bit, okay? And the reason why I want you to brain dump is because eventually you're going to get out of your head and you're going to get into your heart. And really your story should be anchored in your heart because it's your purpose. It's why you're here. So if you didn't brain dump, if you got all in your head and you let it all be this thoughtful process that sounded really good, I want you to go do the exercise again. So don't kill me, but I promise it's going to serve you better if you get into your heart. And remember, a couple of episodes ago, I taught you about heart breathing, putting your hands on your heart, closing your eyes, really centering yourself, feeling your heart, and feeling grateful for the fact that your heart is beating and that you're here. Do that for 2 minutes. And then your brain and your heart will actually sync. And then whatever decisions you make, whatever you write, whatever you go do in those moments afterwards will come from your heart, which really is the center of who you are. And it will help you further clarify and define your story. So if you need some help, because I got a couple of questions like, how do I really find my story, Katrina? It's been really tough for me. Number one, get out of your head, get into your heart, do the heart breathing if that helps you, and then just brain dump. Just dump it all out until you get out of your head and eventually get into your heart by all the things that you're writing. But once you've done that and you figured out your new story and it aligns with your purpose, again, because this is your year, and the reason that it is your year is because you're going to live life on your terms. And your terms is by living your purpose, whatever that looks like, okay? The way that you're going to do that is, yes, you're going to dump it all out, but you're going to summarize. What's my story? Now, my story today is I can accomplish anyone by serving all of those people, all of the people on this earth I am meant to serve, and share my gifts of knowledge, my gifts of love, my gifts of support, right? All of my gifts. That's my story. And so I live every day going through and achieving that story. It's very simple, right? It's not like it's 15 paragraphs. My story is about 2 to 3 sentences. That's what your story is. And then you're going to live it every day. And the way you're going to do that is a couple of things. One, read it. Anchor it in. Read it every day. Understand your story. Journal. If you like to journal, journal. Some of you are like, I hate journaling. That's fine. I'm not talking about, again, writing 3 and 4 pages a day. I'm talking about sitting down and saying, what is my intention for today? You write it down in the morning. What is my intention? What do I want to achieve or do or share or be? And for you right now, as you're trying to anchor in your new story, it's what's your intention relative to your new story? What's that going to look like? And in the evening before you go to bed, go write 2 sentences about how you delivered on it. And be grateful for that. Spend some time being grateful that you delivered on it. It's one great way. Another great way that a lot of women do is they'll go cut their hair, or they'll put, some different makeup on, or, get a new lip color, right? New pair of shoes, a new bag, a new outfit, something that when they look in the mirror, they're like, this is the new me. I am living my purpose. This is who I'm meant to be. I have stepped into her. Man, she looks amazing. Look at her. Whoo! She looks fantastic, right? And so it's a visual reminder of what your new story is and how this year is your year. A lot of other women will connect with friends and say, hey, I've changed my focus. This is what I'm focused on. This is the language that I'm using, for example, right? I'm all about serving other people. So if you hear me in conversation say something that doesn't sound like I'm focused on serving other people, will you call me out on it? Right? And you have an accountability buddy. All of those things will help you anchor in your new story and ensure that you're living your purpose, that you're starting to live life on your terms, which is critically important. That's what you're here for. You deserve it. Don't ever forget it. You deserve to live life on your terms. So step into that. And the first step is to change your story and go live your story. So read it. Know within yourself 100% that you deserve it. Maybe change something physical on your body if that helps you look in the mirror and see the new you. Have an accountability buddy. Tell them what you're doing and what you're changing so they can hold you accountable to making that change. Because it's a habit. But ultimately, if you've removed the old story, if you've taken away all of the past experiences that made you believe that the previous story that you had, your old story, was your truth, then this is going to be even easier. So make sure that you've done that. Build some routines. The cool thing about journaling, and I'll throw this out there for just 2 seconds, is that if you do that every single day, at the end of the week, you can look back and do a summary of, here are the amazing things that I did this week that shows that I'm living life on my terms, that is clear evidence that I'm living out my purpose. Because this is my new story. My new story is living my purpose. And you can summarize that by the week, by the month, and then by this time next year, you're going to have an entire journal filled with, 2 sentences about the intention for the day, 2 sentences about how you are grateful for what happened in the day because this is how you lived your story. And you're going to have a whole journal full of a year of life. And then you're going to be able to look at it and say, this really was my year. And that's where I want you to be. But it starts with changing your story. So go change your story. Decide what routine is going to be best for you. And then make sure without a doubt that as you change your story, a couple of things, let me know. Connect with me on social media. Let me know how you change your story, what that looks like. And then as we move through this year, because just like this year is your year, this year is my year when it comes to serving each of you and Legend Leaders. You're going to see some amazing things coming out soon from Legend Leaders. There's going to be a membership that you're going to be able to join, which I cannot wait to serve you in on a regular basis. And when I say regular, I'm talking weekly basis at least. I'm interacting with you and supporting you. You're going to see some live events come your way, some virtual events that you can join where I can impart and share with you some additional information on how you can upskill your leadership, your personal leadership, your business leadership, and your people leadership, because that's what we're all about here at Legend Leaders. Go step into the new you. I am so proud of you for taking this step. It's not easy, but life is not easy. It's never been promised to be easy, but you're here and you have a purpose. Go live it. And as always, go and be legendary.